There is a strange paradox about walls. We build them to keep dangers out, but sometimes they end up keeping us in. We construct fortresses around our hearts, high towers around our memories, and moats filled with the cold waters of what if and if only. We think that if we make the walls thick enough, we will be safe. But often, in the silence of those stone rooms, we find that the only prisoner is ourselves. Tonight, we are going to travel to the ultimate manifestation of this idea. We are going to the middle of the North Sea, to a place that does not appear on any Muggle map, and on wizarding maps, it is often just a smudge of black ink. Azkaban. To the world, it is a place of terror, a word whispered to frighten children. But tonight, we are going to look at it differently. We are not going there as prisoners. We are not going there as guards. We are going as the wind. We are going to see it as it truly is. A monument to the human desire to hide things away, and a testament to the fact that even the coldest stone eventually yields to the warmth of the sun. We will watch the history of this place unfold like a time-lapse movie. We will see the darkness rise, and we will see it break. Because the lesson of Azkaban is not about the power of the cage. It is about the unbreakable, enduring nature of the light that survives inside it. You are safe here. You are the observer. The cold cannot touch you. The shadows cannot see you. You are about to drift through the walls. Hello, my friend. I'm Max. I am very glad you are here with me tonight. We often tell stories to escape reality, but sometimes the best way to rest is to look at a heavy thing, acknowledge its weight, and then let it float away. That is what we are going to do tonight. I want you to find that perfect spot in your bed. Wiggle your shoulders until they drop away from your ears. Let your legs grow heavy and long. Feel the mattress rising up to meet you, solid and dependable. Tonight, we are going to practice a special kind of relaxation. I want you to imagine that your body is dissolving into a soft, silver mist. You are no longer made of bone and muscle. You are made of air. You are weightless. Imagine that you are lifting gently off your bed. You float through the ceiling, up into the cool night sky. Below you, the world is sleeping. The lights of the cities are just scattered diamonds on velvet. You are flying north, over the coastline, out over the vast rhythmic expanse of the sea. You feel no cold, only a refreshing coolness. You feel no fear, only a deep, abiding curiosity. You are a ghost of the present, traveling to the past. You are invisible. You are free. Ahead of you, rising from the grey waves, is a shape of black stone. It stands alone against the horizon. Don't worry. You can fly right over the water. You can pass right through the rock. Take a deep breath in, filling your spirit with the salty, clean air, and exhale, releasing your tether to the earth. Let us descend. Let us watch. The history of the fortress is about to begin. Imagine you are hovering above the North Sea. The year is indeterminate, somewhere deep in the 15th century perhaps. The world below you is a canvas of restless grey. There is no land in sight, only the endless, hypnotic rolling of the waves, whitecaps forming and dissolving like thoughts in a sleeping mind. The wind here is constant, a lonely howl that has travelled thousands of miles without hitting a tree or a mountain. But there is something here. If you were a sailor on a wooden ship passing these coordinates, you would see nothing. Your compass might spin lazily, confused by a magical anomaly, but your eyes would register only open water. The unplottable charms are strong. They bend the light and the attention of the mortal world away from this spot. But you are mist. You are a spirit of observation. You can see what is hidden. Look down. Through the veil of enchantment, a shape emerges from the spray. It is not a natural island. It does not slope gently into the sea with beaches of sand or pebble. It erupts. It is a fang of black rock, sharp and sudden, thrusting up from the ocean floor. It looks like a piece of the midnight sky that fell and hardened into granite. And on this rock stands the fortress. It is not a ruin yet. It is new. It is stark. It is triangular, a geometry that feels hostile to the organic curves of the waves. There are no windows on the lower levels, only sheer, smooth walls of obsidian-like stone that seem to drink the weak sunlight. You drift closer. You pass through the salt spray without getting wet. You float towards the single high tower that dominates the structure. Inside, there is a man. He is the reason this place exists. His name is Ekrizdis. History will call him a monster, a dark wizard of terrifying power. But as you watch him now, floating invisibly in the corner of his high study, he does not look like a conqueror. He looks like a hermit. He is pale, his skin the color of parchment, his robes heavy and black to ward off the eternal damp. He stands at a slit in the wall, looking out at the nothingness. He did not build this place to rule the world. He built it to escape it. He built it because he hated the noise of humanity. He wanted a silence so absolute that he could hear the whispers of the void, and he found it here. Ekrizdis is a practitioner of the darkest arts, yes. He lures Muggle sailors to his island, and what happens to them is the stuff of nightmares. But you are safe from that. You are watching the architecture of his solitude. Observe the walls. You drift through them. They are cold, bone-deep cold. They are not held together by mortar, but by magic. A binding spell so powerful it feels like a low hum in the air. Ekrizdis has woven his own neuroses into the stone. The fortress is an extension of his mind, rigid, impenetrable, and obsessed with containment. But solitude, when twisted by dark magic, breeds things. Look into the shadows of the lower corridors. The torches here burn with a blue sputtering light. The air is thick, heavier than water. Moisture clings to the ceiling, dripping with a rhythmic plink. Plink, plink that echoes in the silence. Something is growing in the damp. It is not a plant. It is not an animal. It is a manifestation. Ekrizdis, in his pursuit of ultimate power and ultimate isolation, has created a vacuum of emotion. He has stripped this place of joy, of hope, of warmth. And nature abhors a vacuum. Where the light is removed, the shadow must rush in to fill the space. You see them forming. They detach themselves from the dark corners like cobwebs peeling away from the wall. They are tall, cloaked in tattered rags that look like decomposing fabric, or perhaps dead skin. They have no feet. They glide just an inch above the cold floor. The Dementors. They are not arriving from elsewhere. They are being born here. They are the mould growing on a rotting soul. They are the physical embodiment of Ekrizdis's depression and cruelty. Float closer to one. Do not be afraid. It cannot sense you. You are a being of pure consciousness. You have no emotions for it to feed on right now. You see the way the air freezes around it. Frost patterns bloom on the stones as it passes. This is not just a drop in temperature. It is the cessation of heat. It is the physics of despair. The Dementor breathes in, a rattling, ragged sound, and the torchlight dims. It is feeding on the very possibility of happiness in the room. Ekrizdis walks among them. He is not afraid. He is their father, in a twisted way. He walks down the corridor, and the creatures part for him. He touches the wall, and you can see a faint, dark pulse travel through the fortress. The building is alive. It is a symbiotic organism. The stone protects the wizard feeds the creatures, and the creatures saturate the stone with dread. For years, Decades, perhaps, this ecosystem exists in secret. The invisible island is a black hole in the middle of the sea. Sailors disappear. Storms seem to linger here longer than they should. The world moves on. Wars are fought. Kings die. New lands are discovered. But here, time is a flat grey circle. But even the darkest wizards are mortal. Watch now as the years speed up. You see Ekrizdis grow old. His movements become slower. The darkness he has courted begins to consume him. He dies alone in his tower, his body becoming just another part of the fortress's grim collection. And with his death, the concealment charms begin to fail. It is like a fog lifting. The magical barrier that hid the island from the world dissolves. Now, shift your perspective. You are soaring high above the clouds again. The sun is rising. On the horizon, you see ships. Not the hapless fishing boats of victims, but sleek, fast vessels. They fly the flag of the Ministry of Magic. They are aurories, investigators, cartographers. They have seen the anomaly on their maps. They are coming to see what lies in the blind spot of the world. You swoop down to join them. You see the faces of the wizards on the boats. They are hardened men and women, veterans of magical conflicts. But as the fortress of Azkaban comes into view, that jagged black tooth rising from the sea, you see their expressions change. They stop talking. They grip their wands tighter. Even from miles away, they can feel it. The cold, the sorrow, the urge to turn the boat around and sail back to the warmth of home. They land on the rocky shore. You follow them as they breach the heavy iron doors. What they find inside horrifies them. They expected a hideout. They found a hive. The Dementors are everywhere. Hundreds of them. Without Ekrizdis to control them, to focus them, they are a swarm of hunger. They glide through the corridors, a silent, suffocating army. The ministry officials cast patronuses, silver birds, cats, wolves, desperate to create a bubble of safety in the overwhelming gloom. They find the journals of Ekrizdis. They realize the true nature of this place. And then the debate begins. You are floating in the high council chambers of the ministry in London now. You see the debates. The experts are terrified. Burn it to the ground, some shout. Destroy the island, sink it into the sea. But the researchers shake their heads. We cannot, they whisper. The Dementors, they are tied to the place. If we destroy their home, we do not destroy them. We set them free. Imagine the horror of that thought. A swarm of Dementors, homeless and hungry, drifting towards the mainland, invading London, invading Hogwarts, feeding on muggles and wizards alike. It would be a plague of despair. The ministry is trapped. They have discovered a nest of monsters they cannot kill. And then, a dark idea is born. A pragmatic, terrible idea. Why not use them? Why build a new prison for the worst criminals when a perfect, inescapable one already exists? Why pay guards when you have creatures that need no payment, only sustenance? You watch as the decision is made. It is a bureaucratic moment, signed with a quill on parchment, but it seals the fate of thousands. The island of Azkaban will be repurposed. It will become the wizarding prison. The deal is struck with the creatures. It is a silent pact. We will give you souls, the ministry says, in essence. We will send you the worst of us. You may feed on their memories, their hopes. In exchange, you will stay here. You will not roam. It is a containment strategy, a sacrifice of the wicked to protect the innocent. Or so they tell themselves. You return to the island. You see the transformation. The laboratories of Ekrizdis are cleared out. Bars are installed on the open arches. The cells are numbered. The fortress, once a place of voluntary solitude, becomes a place of enforced isolation. The first prisoners arrive. Watch them. They are dragged from the boats, screaming, defiant. Dark wizards, murderers, thieves. They enter the gates, and you see the change in their eyes the moment the shadow of the Dementors falls over them. The defiance vanishes. It is replaced by a primal, shaking terror. They realize, too late, that the punishment is not confinement. The punishment is the erasure of self. The iron doors clang shut. The sound echoes through the stone. A final note of the song of the outside world. You float up, higher and higher, until the fortress is just a speck again. The sea rolls on, indifferent. The era of Ekrizdis is over. The era of the prison has begun. The walls are the same. The cold is the same. But now the silence is filled with the weeping of the damned. And you, the observer, are the only one who can leave. Take a moment. Feel the warmth of your own bed. The blankets are heavy and comforting, not cold like the stone. You are not there. You are here. You are safe. Let the image of the Black Tower fade for a moment. Breathe in the peace of your room. We are ready to move forward in time, to see what happens when the walls are tested. Let your consciousness drift back to the sea. The centuries have turned, moving from the medieval isolation of Ekrizdis into the structured, bureaucratic cruelty of the early 18th century. You are no longer floating above an invisible island. You are witnessing a landmark of fear. The Ministry of Magic has claimed Azkaban. They have not purified it. They have institutionalized it. Look closely at the water around the fortress. It has changed. It is darker, oilier. The presence of so many Dementors, now concentrated, fed, and bound to the Ministry's will, has affected the very ecosystem. The fish here are pale and blind. The birds do not land on the battlements. They veer away miles before, sensing the void in the air. The island is a wound in nature that refuses to heal. You glide towards the main entrance. It is no longer the rough-hewn opening of a hermit's cave. It is a massive gate of black iron, reinforced with goblin-wrought steel. It bears the seal of the Ministry, a symbol of law placed upon a house of horrors. The arrogance of this image is striking. The belief that a stamp of authority can tame a nightmare. Pass through the gates. You are missed. The iron cannot stop you. Inside, the transformation is complete. The chaotic, organic layout of Ekrizdis' home has been subdivided. What was once a grand hall for dark rituals is now the intake processing center. What were once guest rooms for unwary sailors are now high-security cells. The Ministry has installed a grid of order over the chaos. There are walkways with metal railings, numbered doors, and magical sensors embedded in the floor. But beneath this veneer of order, the old cold remains. Observe the Minister for Magic, Damocles' role. You see him standing on a high balcony overlooking the central courtyard of the prison. He is a hard man, elected on a promise to be tough on dark wizards. He looks down at the Dementors gliding in the pit below. He does not flinch, but you can see his hand tightening on his wand, knuckles white. He knows what he has done. He has signed the Iron Pact. This pact is the unseen foundation of Azkaban. It is not written on paper, but in the balance of power. The Ministry provides the prisoners a steady stream of souls filled with fear, regret, and tasty memories. In return, the Dementors agree to serve as jailers. They agree not to cross the sea. They agree not to feast on the innocent populations of the mainland. It is a symbiotic relationship born of necessity and cowardice. Rel believes he is using the Dementors, In reality, the Dementors are farming the ministry. They are being fed without having to hunt. Move deeper into the prison. Go down, past the minimum security levels where petty thieves shiver in the damp. Go to the high security wing. Here the silence is different. It is not empty. It is heavy. It presses against your eardrums. You enter a cell. It is small, barely 6 feet by 6 feet. There is a single, narrow slit of a window, high up, barred with heavy iron. It lets in no light, only the sound of the relentless sea crashing against the rocks far below. The sound is maddening, a constant reminder of the world outside that can never be reached. In the corner, huddled under a thin grey blanket, is a prisoner. You do not need to know his name or his crime. Watch his mind. You are safe, remember. You are merely an observer of the phenomenon. You see the way the Dementor affects him. It is not a physical attack. It is an excavation. The creature glides past the door. The temperature drops. The prisoner stops shivering and goes still. His eyes glaze over. He is remembering, but he is not remembering the good things. The Dementor is stripping those away, peeling them off like layers of an onion. The memory of his mother's smile? Gone. The taste of butterbeer? Gone. The feeling of flying on a broomstick? Gone. What remains? The worst moments. The time he hurt someone. The time he was humiliated. The moment of his arrest. These memories are amplified, looped, played back at maximum volume in the theatre of his mind. He is trapped in a torture chamber of his own history. This is the true genius of Azkaban as a prison. It does not need torture racks or thumbscrews. It uses the prisoner's own conscience, or lack thereof, as the weapon. It weaponizes the past. You float through the wall into the next cell, and the next. It is a gallery of broken minds. Some prisoners scream, some weep, but most just stare at the wall, catatonic. They have been hollowed out. They are shells waiting for the end. But amidst this despair, you notice something fascinating. A spark. Drift to a cell on the upper level. Inside is a man who is different. He is thin, gaunt, his hair matted. But his eyes are not glassy. They are sharp. He is pacing. This is not Sirius Black. Not yet. This is an unnamed wizard from an earlier era, perhaps a political prisoner. Watch him. He is muttering to himself. Is he mad? Listen closely. He is not babbling nonsense. He is reciting. He is conjugating verbs in ancient runes. He is solving arithmancy equations. He is forcing his brain to work on logic, on cold, hard facts. Why? Because logic has no emotion. A math problem has no joy, but it also has no sorrow. It is neutral. By filling his mind with complex, unemotional thoughts, he is starving the Dementors. He is offering them a meal of dry crackers instead of a feast of feelings. You are witnessing the first resistance, the discovery that the mind can build its own walls inside the prison walls. This man is building a fortress of intellect to protect the soft kernel of his soul. He will likely die here, but he will die as himself. Float up again, through the ceiling, back to the stormy sky. Time accelerates. You watch the decades pass in a blur of grey rain. You see ministers come and go. Eldritch Diggory visits the prison and dies of dragonpox shortly after, though many whisper he died of horror at what he saw. He wanted to close Azkaban. He saw the inhumanity, but the fear of the loose Dementors kept the doors open. The status quo is a powerful drug. Now pause the flow of time. It is the late 20th century. The First Wizarding War is at its height. The boats arriving at the dock are fuller now. They bring a new breed of prisoner. These are not just criminals. They are fanatics, Death Eaters, followers of Lord Voldemort. You see Bellatrix Lestrange being dragged off the boat. She is screaming, not in fear, but in rage. She taunts the guards. She laughs at the Dementors. This is a strange phenomenon. Observe her in her cell. The Dementors swarm her. They feed on her, but she does not break in the same way as the others. Why? Because her happy memories are twisted. Her joy comes from causing pain. Her love is an obsessive devotion to a monster. The Dementors are confused by the flavor of her soul. They feed, but the toxicity of her mind repels them slightly. She retains her madness, her identity, because her identity is forged in darkness. Azkaban does not redeem her. It hardens her. It concentrates her hate like wine turning to vinegar. And then the most famous prisoner arrives. You see him, Sirius Black, young, handsome, but with a look of shattered disbelief on his face. He is thrown into a high cell. He is innocent. He knows he didn't kill Peter Pettigrew. He knows he didn't betray James and Lily. Watch him closely. This is the heart of our lesson on the fortress of the soul. Most prisoners go mad because they obsess over their guilt. I shouldn't have done it. I am sorry. I am bad. The Dementors feast on this guilt. But Sirius has no guilt. He has obsession, yes. He has grief. But he knows with crystal clarity that he is innocent. That thought, I am innocent, is not a happy thought. It brings him no joy. It is a cold, hard fact. It is iron. Because it is not a happy thought, the Dementors cannot sense it. They cannot eat it. It remains in his mind, a sharp, unblinking light that they cannot extinguish. And he has another trick. Watch the transformation. You are the only one who can see this. The guards don't check the cells often enough. In the depth of the night, when the cold is at its worst, Sirius shudders. His human form blurs. He shrinks. Fur sprouts. A tail uncurls. He becomes Padfoot, the great black dog. Now, shift your perception. Try to feel what the dog feels. A dog's mind is not like a human's. It is simple. It is immediate. It does not worry about the past or the future. It worries about hunger, cold, smell, sleep. The complex emotions, the existential dread, the nuances of regret vanish. The Dementors, gliding past the door, sense a dimming of the emotional signal. They perceive the occupant of the cell as less human, less tasty. They move on, looking for richer meals. By becoming a dog, Sirius puts his human soul into hibernation. He protects it by burying it deep beneath layers of instinct. It is a profound act of survival. He simplifies himself to save himself. You watch him curl up on the stone floor, his nose tucked under his tail to preserve warmth. He is a prisoner, yes. He is starving. But in this moment, as a dog, he is free from the mental torture. He is just a beast waiting for morning. This is the crack in the fortress. The first sign that the perfect prison is flawed. The years pass. Sirius waits. He waits for a sign, and it comes in the form of a newspaper, a picture of a rat on a boy's shoulder. Now, brace yourself. You are about to witness the impossible. The breach. It is a stormy night. The waves are smashing over the walls of the lower levels. The Dementors are agitated, feeding on the anxiety of the storm. Sirius Black is thin, wasted away, but the fire in his eyes is back. He has a purpose. He slips through the bars. Not as a man, he would never fit, but as the dog. He is so thin from malnutrition that even his dog form is skeletal. He squeezes through the iron gap. It scrapes his skin, tears his fur, but he pushes. He is out. He is on the gallery. He does not run. He prowls. He blends with the shadows. The Dementors are blind. They rely on sensing human emotion. They sense a dog, perhaps a stray, or a hallucination. They ignore him. He reaches the edge of the fortress. The drop to the sea is terrifying. Hundreds of feet of sheer cliff. The water below is a churning cauldron of black foam. He does not hesitate. He jumps. Follow him down. You fall with him, weightless. You see the black dog hit the water. The cold is shocking, even to you as an observer. He fights the current. He paddles, gasping, towards the mainland. He has done it. He has escaped the inescapable. Back in the fortress, the alarm does not sound immediately. The arrogance of the ministry is their downfall. They believe the prison is perfect, so they do not look for flaws. It takes hours, maybe days, for them to realize he is gone. And when they do, the panic is absolute. You see the aurores swarming the island again. You see Cornelius Fudge, the minister, pale and sweating. You see the Dementors swirling in a fury, denied their prey. The myth of Azkaban is broken. The walls held the body, but they could not hold the spirit. The Iron Pact is cracking. The Dementors realize the ministry cannot control them. The ministry realizes the Dementors are not loyal. The seeds of the prison's ultimate failure are sown. Float away now. Leave the chaos of the investigation. Rise back up to the calm of the stratosphere. The fortress looks small from up here, a toy castle in a puddle. You have seen the horror of the cage, but you have also seen the triumph of the will. You have seen that even in the darkest place on earth, a man can find a way to keep his own light. Take a deep breath. Feel the air in your lungs. It is warm. It is free. The story is not over. The darkness will try to rise again. But now you know, stone and iron are not enough to crush the soul. Rest for a moment in that knowledge. Let the sound of the sea soothe you. The waves are washing away the footprints of the past. We are ready for the next chapter. The time of war. The time when the guards become the enemy. From your vantage point in the sky, time begins to compress. The years of the late 1990s flash by like the turning of a page. You see the seasons change on the island, not by the colour of leaves. There are no trees to mark the passage of autumn, but by the intensity of the grey. In winter, the island is a block of ice. In summer, it is a sweating, humid tomb. But inside the walls, a new kind of pressure is building. It is not atmospheric. It is political. You drift down to the warden's office. It is a room that tries desperately to be normal. There is a fireplace, a rug, a pot of tea that is always quickly cooling. But the warden is nervous. He reads the Daily Prophet with shaking hands. The headlines scream of the return of he who must not be named. The balance of the Iron Pact is shifting. Remember what we saw earlier. The Dementors serve the ministry not out of loyalty, but out of hunger. The ministry offers them a steady diet of prisoners. But Lord Voldemort offers them something richer. He offers them chaos. He offers them a world without Patronuses, a world where fear is the dominant currency. He offers them the mainland. You can sense the change in the creatures. Float through the corridors again. The Dementors are no longer gliding aimlessly. They are gathering. They cluster in the upper towers, their ragged cloaks fluttering in the wind like black flags. They are whispering to each other in a language that sounds like the cracking of ice. They are waiting for a signal. And then the breakout happens. It is 1996. The night is moonless. You see a flash of green light in the sky, the dark mark. It hangs over the prison like a poisonous star. The explosion is silent from your perspective, but you feel the vibration in the air. The outer wall of the high security wing is blasted open, not by a spell from the outside, but by the Dementors themselves stepping aside. They open the doors, watch the prisoners emerge. Bellatrix Lestrange, gaunt but triumphant. Antonin Dolohov, Augustus Rookwood. They walk out of their cells not as escapees, but as guests checking out of a hotel. They are greeted by the Dementors with a strange, chilling reverence. The jailers bow to the monsters. This is the end of Azkaban as a ministry institution. The illusion of control is shattered. The Dementors have unionized with the Dark Lord. They abandon their posts. Now, witness a sight that few have ever imagined. The Great Migration. The Dementors leave the island. It looks like a plume of black smoke rising from a volcano. Hundreds of them, lifting off from the battlements, forming a dark cloud that moves south, towards the coast of Britain, towards Hogwarts, towards the Ministry. The island is left behind. Float down into the courtyard. It is empty. The silence is profound. For the first time in centuries, the air on the island begins to warm up. Just a fraction of a degree. The supernatural freeze is gone. The prisoners who remain, the petty thieves, the forgotten ones who were not Death Eaters, wake up in their cells. They look around, confused. The headache that has plagued them for years lifts. They can remember their mothers' faces again. Azkaban, for a brief, strange period during the Second Wizarding War, becomes a ghost town. It is a husk. The Ministry tries to pretend it is still operational, sending auras to guard the perimeter. But the soul of the place, the dark, eating soul, is gone. The auras hate it here. They are terrified not of what is inside, but of the fact that the ultimate weapon has switched sides. The war rages on the mainland. You see flashes of it in the distance, lights in the sky, tremors in the magical fabric of the world. But the island waits. It is a stage waiting for the next act, and the next act comes with the fall of Voldemort. May 1998. The Battle of Hogwarts ends. The sun rises on a broken world, and the cleanup begins. You see the ships returning to Azkaban, but these are not the ships of the old regime. They fly the flag of the new minister, Kingsley Shacklebolt. Kingsley is a man of immense presence. You see him step onto the dock. He looks up at the tower. He knows the history. He knows the horror. And he makes a decision that changes the geography of magical justice forever. No more, he says. He orders the Dementors banished. It is a metaphysical eviction. The Dementors, broken and scattered after the defeat of their master, try to return to their roost. But the auras are waiting. They line the battlements. Watch this moment. It is beautiful. 50 auras raise their wands. They do not cast killing curses. They cast the Patronus charm. Expecto Patronum. 50 bursts of silver light erupt from the fortress walls. Silver stags, otters, phoenixes, boars, eagles. A zoo of pure light. The brilliance is blinding. It acts like a beacon, a lighthouse of joy that burns away the shadows. The Dementors recoil. They cannot land. They shriek, a sound like metal tearing, and are forced away, driven into the dark places of the earth, to the caves and the deep valleys where they will slowly starve and fade. Azkaban is cleansed, but a prison is still needed. The world is not a utopia yet. There are still Death Eaters to be caught, still dangerous wizards who cannot be allowed to roam free. So, the renovation begins. You watch as the damp is driven out. Magical fires are lit in the hearths, fires that burn with magical wood that never goes out. Windows are enlarged. Sunlight, weak North Sea sunlight, but sunlight nonetheless. Touches the floor of the cells for the first time in 500 years. The guards are no longer monsters. They are auras. They work in shifts. They are human. Float through the corridors now. The atmosphere has changed completely. It is still a grim place. It is a prison, after all. But it is no longer a torture chamber. You see a guard walking his round. He is humming a tune. He stops at a cell. Inside is Dolores Umbridge. She is sitting on a cot. She is unhappy, certainly. She has lost her power. But she is sane. She is reading a book. She is being punished by the loss of her freedom, not by the consumption of her soul. This is the great shift. Justice replaces terror. But the island itself, the island remembers. Drift down to the foundations. Go deep into the rock, below the cells, below the Auror barracks, down to where Ekrizdis laid the first stones. The magic of the original creator is still there, woven into the geology. The Dementors are gone, but the memory of them lingers in the stones like radiation. You can see it as a faint, dark pulse. It is weak now, dormant, but it is a reminder. You cannot simply wash away 5 centuries of suffering with a few Patronuses and a coat of paint. The fortress is a scar on the world, and scars do not disappear. They just fade to white. Fly out of the rock now. Go to the shore. The ecosystem is recovering. You see a bird, a black-backed gull, land on the rocky beach. It pecks at a crab. It does not die. It flies away. Life is returning. The sea crashes against the walls, eroding them grain by sand grain. The ocean has infinite patience. It knows that one day, perhaps in 1,000 years, it will grind this tower down to nothing. It will reclaim the island. But for now, it stands. It stands as a monument to a mistake, a monument to the idea that we can use monsters to fight monsters. As you hover there, looking at the transformed fortress, you realize something profound about the nature of safety. The wizarding world thought they were safe because the Dementors were guarding the bad guys. But they were never safe. They were just feeding a tiger and hoping it wouldn't eat them. True safety came when they stopped relying on fear, when they took responsibility for their own justice, when they manned the walls themselves. The sun is setting now in the west, painting the sky in bruises of purple and gold. The lighthouse beam from the top of the tower sweeps across the water. It is a guiding light, a warning. Here lies the past, it seems to say. Do not repeat it. You are drifting away now. The pull of the story is weakening. The imagery is softening. The fortress becomes a silhouette, then a shadow, then a memory. You are rising back into the clouds, back towards the present, back towards your own reality. The cold of the North Sea is far behind you. Prepare yourself for the return. We have one last thought to share, one last reflection on the walls we build and the keys we hold. But for now, just float. Feel the weightlessness. You have walked through hell and come out the other side. You are untouched. You are whole. Breathe. The journey is almost done. You are floating above the island as the years begin to settle into the rhythm of the new millennium. The frantic energy of the war has dissipated, replaced by the steady, diligent work of reconstruction. From your aerial vantage point, you can see that the very colour palette of Azkaban has shifted. It is no longer a monochromatic void of black stone and grey fog. There are flecks of amber light spilling from the windows, warm, magical firelight that signifies the presence of the living. The oppressive cloud cover that Ekrizdis summoned centuries ago has finally broken, allowing the indifferent but honest weather of the North Sea to reclaim the sky. Descend now, glide towards the battlements where the auras stand watch. The Dementors are gone, driven into the deep crevices of the world by the collective Patronus of the new administration. But the memory of them is a phantom limb that the island cannot quite shake. The guards know this. You can see it in the way they patrol, in pairs, never alone. They wear the crimson robes of the Aura Office, heavy wool lined with protective charms against the damp. They talk in low voices, sharing stories of home, of Quidditch scores, of their children. These mundane conversations are a form of magic in themselves, a ritual of normalcy performed to keep the echoes of the past at bay. Enter the prison proper. The silence here is no longer the silence of the grave. It is the silence of a library or a hospital at night. It is a functional quiet. The Dementor's kiss, the ultimate erasure of the self, has been outlawed. The prisoners here are serving time, not losing their souls. Move to the cell of a new inmate. He is a former snatcher, a man who profited from the chaos of Voldemort's reign. He sits on his bunk, staring at the stone wall. He is bored. He is resentful. He misses his freedom. But he is feeling these things. He is not huddled in a corner, shivering as his happiest memories are sucked out of his ears. He is forced to sit with his own conscience. This is the subtle revolution of the new Azkaban. By removing the Dementors, the Ministry has inadvertently created a harsher punishment for some. Without the Dementors to numb them, to strip-mine their minds until they are catatonic vegetables, the prisoners are forced to think. They are forced to remember. The Snatcher remembers the faces of the Muggle-borns he caught. He remembers their pleas, and in the silence of his cell, without a monster to blame for his misery, he has to look in the mirror. This is the true purpose of a penitentiary. Penitence, to think, to regret, to change. It was impossible under the old regime, where survival was the only thought. Now, redemption is a theoretical possibility, even if it is rarely achieved. Drift deeper into the fortress, to the lower levels. These were once the feeding grounds, the darkest pits where the Dementors bred. The Ministry has sealed some of these tunnels, deeming them too tainted to be used. But you, as a spirit of mist, can pass through the stone seals. What you find here is a geological curiosity. The stone itself has been altered. Centuries of exposure to the Dementors have left a residue. The rock is cold to the touch, a supernatural chill that no fire can warm. Lichen does not grow here. Spiders avoid these corners. It is a dead zone. But look closely at the floor. In the center of the old breeding pit, someone has placed a crystal. It is a sunstone, enchanted to glow with a perpetual, gentle light. It was placed there by an unspeakable from the Department of Mysteries, an experiment to see if the stone can be healed. Watch the light of the crystal. It pushes against the dark shadows of the corners. It is a slow war. Photons against phantoms. It will take hundreds of years for the residue to fade, but the process has begun. It is a reminder that healing is not an event. It is a geological epoch. It takes time. It takes patience. Rise up again, through the floors, to the warden's office. The current warden is a witch named Hestia Jones, a veteran of the Order of the Phoenix. She sits at the desk that once belonged to the corrupt officials of the past. Her office is cluttered with files, not just of crimes, but of rehabilitation reports. She is writing a letter to the family of a prisoner, approving a visitation request. Visitation, a concept that would have been laughable 50 years ago. Who would visit a soul that had already been eaten? But now, boats arrive once a month carrying not prisoners but families, mothers, wives, children. They come to see the men and women behind the bars, follow a visitation. A woman sits across a table from her husband, a wizard caught selling dark artifacts. There is a magical barrier between them, but they can see each other. They can speak. "I'm sorry," he says. "I know," she replies. This exchange, this tiny spark of human connection, releases a different kind of energy into the fortress. It is the anti-Dementor. It is love, flawed and painful, but real. It seeps into the walls. It fights the rot. Every "I love you," every tear shed in that visitation room is a brick in the reconstruction of the island's soul. But the island is not just a prison for humans. It is a repository of dangerous objects. With the closing of the Department of Mystery's more volatile chambers, Azkaban has become a vault. Go to the North Tower. The security here is tighter than the cells. Wards hum in the air, vibrating against your spectral form. Inside, on shelves of dragon bone, sit the artifacts confiscated from the Death Eaters, the cursed necklaces, the books bound in pale skin, the wands that have cast too many unforgivable curses. They are kept here because they are too dangerous to destroy. The backlash of magical energy would be catastrophic. So they sit in the dark, whispering to each other. But unlike the prisoners, these objects have no hope of release. They are the true lifers. The Dementors may be gone, but the darkness they served is preserved in these objects. It is a quarantine zone for evil. And who guards the guards? You see the shift change. The auras look tired. The salt air chaps their skin. The isolation wears on them. Azkaban is no longer a hellhole, but it is still a hard place to work. It is lonely. But watch what they do when the shift ends. They go to the mess hall. They play exploding snap. They complain about the ministry bureaucracy. They laugh. This laughter is the strongest ward on the island. Ekrizdis built this place to escape humanity. The ministry filled it with monsters to suppress humanity. But now humanity has invaded. The smell of frying bacon in the morning, the sound of a radio playing a Celestina Warbeck song. These are the things that truly defeated the Dark Wizard. The banality of life, the persistence of the ordinary. Now, let your perspective widen. Pull back from the details of the prison administration. Look at the island as a part of the world. For centuries, Azkaban was a black hole on the map. Sailors avoided it. Cartographers left it blank. But now, with the concealment charms modified, it has a location. It has coordinates. You see a Muggle ship in the distance, a massive container ship, its lights blazing in the twilight. It passes within 10 miles of the island. The Muggles on board do not see the fortress. The Muggle repelling charms are still active, making them remember an urgent appointment or simply causing their eyes to slide off the rock. But they feel something. They feel a sudden drop in temperature. They feel a moment of melancholy. A sailor shivers and zips up his jacket. "Cold wind tonight," he mutters. They do not know they are passing the prison of wizards, but the island's aura still touches the world. It serves as a reminder that the magical and the mundane are not truly separate. They share the same air. They share the same sea. As you hover there, watching the ship pass, you realize the final transformation of the fortress. It has gone from a secret under Ekrizdis to a weapon under the old ministry to a responsibility under the new. It is a burden the wizarding world has chosen to carry. They could have abandoned it. They could have built a new prison in a sunny meadow in Devon, but they chose to stay here. Why? Perhaps because they understand that you cannot run from your shadow. You have to live with it. You have to build a house on top of it and fill it with light. You look down at the waves crashing against the jagged rocks. The foam is white and clean. The ocean is doing its work, washing, scrubbing, eroding. In 1,000,000 years, this rock will be sand. The iron gates will be rust. The wands will be rotted wood. The history of the pain will be dispersed into the atoms of the sea. But for now, in the time of men and wizards, it stands. It stands as a promise. We will not forget. We will not look away. We will keep the watch. The night is fully dark now. The lighthouse beam cuts through the gloom, a rhythmic pulse of safety. Flash, darkness. Flash, darkness. It is hypnotic. It matches the beating of your own heart. You are drifting further away. The details of the stone are blurring. The auras are just specks of red. The island is just a shape. You are ready to leave this place. You have seen its core. You have seen that even in the place designed to kill hope, hope has returned. Not as a roaring fire, but as a small, steady candle. Turn your back on the North Sea. Turn your face towards the warmth of the south, towards the land of sleep. You are light. You are free. You are going home. As we reach the end of our journey through the stone and history of Azkaban, the perspective shifts one final time. We are no longer looking at the years or the decades. We are looking at the epochs. We are adopting the timescale of the ocean itself. You are still floating, weightless and safe, but you are higher now, detached from the daily dramas of the guards and the prisoners. You are watching the slow, inevitable victory of nature over architecture. The fortress below you, once a jagged wound in the sea, now seems smaller. It is not that the walls have shrunk, but that your understanding of them has expanded. You see the island not as an isolated entity, but as a small, stubborn pebble in the vast mechanism of the Atlantic. The waves that crash against the base of the tower have travelled thousands of miles, carrying the energy of storms from the other side of the world. They hit the black rock with a rhythmic thud hiss that sounds like the breathing of a giant. This is the war that Ekrizdis could never win. He could command demons, he could bend space, but he could not stop the water. Look closely at the base of the cliffs. The sharp edges of the 15th century are gone. The rock has been smoothed, rounded by 500 years of salt and spray. The black stone is turning grey. Barnacles cling to the lower ramparts, life taking hold on the surface of death. Seaweed sways in the currents, a green forest growing on the doorstep of the prison. The magic that holds the fortress together is strong, but entropy is stronger. The binding spells are fraying at the edges. You can see it in the way the wind whistles through a microscopic crack in the north tower. You can see it in the rust that blooms like orange flowers on the iron bars of the old cells. The ministry sends maintenance crews, yes. They patch the stone with spellotape and fresh mortar. They renew the wards, but they are fighting a losing battle. The island wants to return to the sea. And inside the walls, the atmosphere has settled into something profound. It is the silence of acceptance. The Dementors are a memory now, a bedtime story told to frighten young auras. The current generation of guards has never felt the true cold. To them, Azkaban is just a posting, a hard one, cold and lonely, but a job. They do not fear the dark corners because they have illuminated them with magical lamps that mimic the spectrum of sunlight. They grow plants in the solariums built on the roofs. They have cats to catch the mice. They have normalized the abnormal. This normalization is the final defeat of the dark arts. Evil thrives on drama. It thrives on being special, on being feared. By turning the terrifying fortress into a mundane workplace, The wizarding world has stripped the darkness of its glamour. Azkaban is no longer a Gothic cathedral of despair. It is a government building with a pest control problem. Float down one last time. Enter the highest cell in the highest tower, the place where Ekrizdis once stood and laughed at the world. It is empty now. The window has been widened. The wind blows through, carrying the scent of salt and rain. There is no glass, just a magical barrier that keeps the weather out but lets the view in. Stand there, look out at the horizon. It is just water, endless, beautiful, indifferent water. The man who built this place wanted to look at the nothingness and feel power. But when you look at it now, you feel peace. You feel the smallness of human problems against the scale of the planet. The prisoners who come here now, the ones who are capable of rehabilitation, often speak of this view. They say that watching the sea changes them. It washes away the frantic ego that led them to commit crimes. It teaches them patience. They learn to breathe in time with the tides. Of course, not everyone is healed. There are those who stare at the horizon and see only a wall. The fortress is still a prison. It is still a place of confinement, but it is no longer a place of damnation. The soul is kept in a box, yes, but the box has holes and the light gets in. As you hover in that high tower, you realize that you have witnessed the entire life cycle of a trauma. First, there was the injury, the creation of the place by a madman, the birth of the monsters. Then, there was the infection, the ministry trying to use the monsters, the spreading of the rot, the suffering of the innocent like Sirius Black. Then, the fever, the breakout, the war, the betrayal of the guards, the crisis point. And finally, the scar, the healing, the removal of the infection, the closing of the wound. Azkaban is now a scar, and like all scars, the tissue is tougher than the skin that was there before. It is not pretty, it is not smooth, but it is sealed. It is a testament to the fact that the body of the world, the body of society, can survive almost anything if it is given time and care. You drift out of the window, back into the open air. The sun has fully set. The stars are out. They are brilliant here, far from the light pollution of the cities. The Milky Way is a river of diamond dust painted across the sky. Below you, the sea is dark, but it is not empty. Bioluminescent plankton sparkle in the waves, mirroring the stars above. As above, so below. The lighthouse beam of the fortress sweeps around. Flash. It illuminates the waves for a second, then moves on. Flash. It is a heartbeat. You begin to ascend. The pull of the earth weakens. The pull of your own life, your own bed, strengthens. The island recedes. It becomes a silhouette, a shape, a dot. And then it is gone, swallowed by the night and the distance. You are flying south, fast and smooth. You cross the coast of Britain. You see the lights of sleeping towns. You see the trains moving like illuminated caterpillars. You see the world of the living, busy and warm. You carry with you the cold of the stone, but only as a memory. It makes the warmth of your return feel sweeter. You understand now that walls are not eternal. Even the strongest stone crumbles. Even the darkest magic fades. The only thing that lasts is the ocean. And the ocean is water, and water is life. You drift down through your roof, through your ceiling. You see your own body sleeping in the bed. It looks peaceful. It looks safe. You slip back into yourself. The transition is gentle, like stepping into a warm bath. You feel the weight of the blankets. You feel the softness of the pillow. You feel the rhythmic rise and fall of your own chest. You are back. You have been to the edge of the world and returned. You have looked into the abyss and found that even there, someone lit a candle. The fortress is far away. It is just a story now, a story of stone and salt. But the lesson remains. No matter how high the walls you build around yourself, or how deep the pit you find yourself in, the sky is always open, the stars are always there, and the dawn always comes. Let the sound of the ocean fade into the rhythm of your breathing. In, out, in, out. The tide is going out. It is taking your worries with it. The tide is coming in. It is bringing you rest. Sleep now. The watch is set. The guards are human. The monsters are gone. You are free. Good night. You know, there's something incredibly resilient about the idea of Azkaban. Not the prison itself, but the fact that people, wizards, humans, whatever, looked at that black rock, filled with the literal embodiment of depression, and said, "We can fix this. We can make this better." It took centuries. It took a lot of mistakes. But they did it. They turned a nightmare into just a place. I think we all have our own little Azkabans, memories we're afraid to visit, anxieties that feel like Dementors. But if that fortress in the middle of the North Sea can let the light in, then so can we. It just takes time. And maybe a little help from our friends. Don't let the walls win tonight. You're stronger than the stone. Sleep well.